Coming up on Mountain News this morning, voters are out and about at polling sites as early in-person voting continues through Saturday. And families throughout Appalachia spent the night trick-or-treating in their favorite neighborhoods.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Thanks for joining us, and good morning. I'm Madison Carmouche. We are inching up to that 6 o'clock mark, and while people have hung up those Halloween costumes, it might not be time to hang up the rain jacket. Let's send it over to meteorologist Drake Foley for a look at your forecast this morning. I mean, we missed trick-or-treating, and now we have to get out an umbrella. Like, it's starting off rough.
Yeah, it's definitely rough. I mean, a couple years ago, we had what was considered the warmest Halloween and the rainiest Halloween, and then we followed it up 2 years later with what is the warmest Halloween, although we didn't meet the rainiest Halloween, although we might need it, especially considering how dry we've been. But it is raining right now. Let's take a look at that WYMT First Alert weather app with your current conditions. We're sitting at 59 degrees right now, and as you can tell outside, raining right now, and fog is starting to develop that could impact your morning commute. All right, current temperatures right now sitting in those low 60s, a few high 50s out there as well. So that's something we do need to keep an eye on over the next little bit because it could be a really close to average day, which is good news to start off that November. All right, let's take a look at that satellite and radar. As you can see, those showers have been building a little bit more concise over the last couple of hours. So if you're anywhere south of the Howell Rogers Parkway, you're probably going to see a good bit of rain for probably the next 2 to 3 hours. Madison?
All right, Drake, thank you. Kentuckians have begun to cast their ballots and make their voices heard in this year's election. Early voting started strongly across the state with reports of long lines in some bigger cities. Jeremy Toms talked with early voters about their experiences.
On this Halloween day, some voters came to the polls in costume. Others who came later braved some spooky weather. But a common experience was that Lexington voters faced long lines.
I think our country needs a change, so that's why I'm here.
Wait times were consistently over an hour at the public library in Beaumont, yet early voters I spoke with there saw that as a positive.
It's the opportunity that they value, and so it's worth it to them.
I have more flexibility, but lots of people don't, and giving them the option to be able to participate in voting, I'm very much in favor of.
Candidates like Democrat Adam Moore got caught up in these lines right alongside their constituents.
So I voted here at the same library in the primary. I think I was the only person in here at the time when I was voting, and now you have hundreds of people in lines.
His opponent for the 45th House District seat, Republican Thomas Jefferson, tells me he saw the line today and turned around. But he plans to go tomorrow and encourages all who are able to vote early. The lines didn't dwindle any as the day wore on here at Beaumont. I watched people continue to file in right until that 4:30 p.m. cutoff time. But election officials want you to take advantage still of Friday and Saturday, noting that wait times on Tuesday could be even longer.
You might have to wait an hour or two at a local library, but if you wait until election day, it could be 3 or 4 hours.
The wait was still too much for some.
There was a fellow right in front of us, and he waited the more than an hour part, and then he bailed.
But others say it's a privilege that every American should take part in.
I'm one of those people, if you don't vote, you don't get to complain. Not to me. It's important.
In Lexington, Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
The polls reopen here in Kentucky this morning. Just remember to bring photo ID with you to cast your ballot. Voters can participate in early voting as long as they are registered to vote. Locations and times vary per county, but each county shares one thing. The crowds seem to be larger this year. Early voting's gotten really popular. You didn't want to stand in lines, but look at it.
But look at the lines. I thought, well, if I get here at 9 o'clock, I'll get here and beat all the rush, but looks like the rush has beat me.
For times and locations for early voting in your county, you can head to govote.ky.gov. Laurel County Clerk Tony Brown is responding to concerns over a TikTok video. The video claimed a voting machine incorrectly recorded a vote. Brown said the device seen here in a video the clerk posted was tested by the Attorney General's office. While the issue was briefly recreated by touching between candidate boxes, no further problems were found. He assured voters that the machine allows for a thorough review of choices before a final submission. Let's take a look at some other locations throughout Eastern Kentucky where you can vote early. In person, no excuse absentee voting runs through Saturday, so you can go to these places today and Saturday. In Leslie County, you can visit the Courthouse Annex in Hyden anytime between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. In Johnson County, you can go to the Courthouse Library in Paintsville between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. And in Wolfe County, you can go to the Courthouse in Campton between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. Governor Andy Beshear and First Lady Brittany Beshear took part in the first day of no excuse early voting. They cast their ballots yesterday morning in Frankfort.
My message is get out and vote. Regardless of who you're going to vote for, this is the bedrock of our democracy. We need everybody participating. And it looks like we're seeing long lines this morning, which is a good thing. So we want as much participation as possible. So please, everybody get out there, be a part of our great democracy, and vote.
And while Governor Beshear says he's grateful to have 3 days to vote early, he hopes to see an entire week of no excuse early voting in the future. Governor Beshear also says he believes it is time to abolish the Electoral College. He says the system means 7 states determine the outcome of the presidential race. 5 times in history has the winner of the popular vote lost the election in the Electoral College. Senate President Robert Stivers called the Electoral College a vital pillar of our republic and said Beshear's proposal is a, quote, disrespectful affront to every Kentuckian who values their right to be heard. Attorney General Russell Coleman says he is protecting the integrity of elections in Kentucky with the no excuse early voting underway. Attorney General Coleman has asked Kentuckians to report any suspected election law violations they may notice. The election fraud hotline is on your screen. It is 800-328-VOTE. Here is a look at a couple of the races we will be keeping our eye on come to Tuesday. In the battle for the Commonwealth's attorney in the 33rd Judicial Circuit, which serves Perry County, Republican John Hanson will take on Democrat Jonathan Wilder. Of course, that seat was vacated by Scott Blair. Jackie Steele was appointed as a special prosecutor following Blair's resignation. Here's another race involving candidates running for Commonwealth's attorney. This one is for the 44th Judicial Circuit. Mike Taylor is taking on Jesse Jean Moberg. The 44th Judicial Circuit serves Bell County. And in the battle for the Commonwealth's attorney in the 41st Judicial Circuit, Republican Haley Jo Fields squares off against Democrat Jake Roberts. This circuit serves Jackson, Clay, and Leslie counties. Fields defeated longtime incumbent Gary Gregory in the May primary election.
We continue to deal with some rain that could impact your morning commute. Let's go ahead and pinpoint some locations that could be seeing rain for the next couple of hours. If you live anywhere in Pike County, especially in the city of Pikeville, you could be seeing some rain for the next little bit. Anywhere in Knott County down to Leslie County as well could be seeing some rain that'll impact your commute, and even all the way down into parts of Harlan County and Bell County, we could be seeing some of that rain for the next little bit of the afternoon. All right, looking at your out the door forecast, this is what it looks like for the next little bit. We're seeing temperatures in the low 60s into the mid 60s by the afternoon, but then we start to dry off by around the 4 p.m. hour. Addison?
All right, Drake, thank you. And while the rain held off last night in Hazard for a warm night of trick-or-treating, the Kiwanis Club hosted its annual Safe Halloween at the National Guard Armory. They invited businesses and organizations to hand out candy and other goodies. Sherry Spradlin says this event allows kids to safely trick-or-treat.
That's why we started it, to get different businesses and organizations all together so that every child would have a place to go to, because nowadays it's harder to go door to door.
Spradlin says Kiwanis Club members try to make the world a better place one child at a time. Kids from Model City Daycare and Head Start hit the streets in Pikeville yesterday for the annual downtown trick-or-treat. The event is a morning march through the city streets that allows the youngest kids a chance to grab some candy in their costumes ahead of trick-or-treating in the evening. Representatives with Model City Head Start say it brings the kids together for a fun day and lets them meet some of the area first responders and community members.
A lot of kids, they don't get a chance to actually go out in the town to trick-or-treat, and they get to see just the different businesses and be with each other, and that's something that they don't always get to do.
Business owners say the parade of Pike County's cutest is always a good way to celebrate the season. One Letcher County family celebrated a decades-old totem pole tradition this Halloween. The Sumter family grows their own pumpkins, then uses them to create a jack-o'-lantern totem pole for trick-or-treaters to enjoy. The tradition has been planted in the Oven Fork community since the 1980s, and pumpkin pole patriarch Ronnie Sumter says he hopes his family will always light up the night with the special showcase.
I hope it continues when I'm gone, and it stays basically the same place.
Sumter says there have only been a few years when the totem was not planted, and in those instances, he says the whole season felt wrong.